everyone. Alicia, really quick, can we change the comments so they can post to everyone? Thanks so much, Alicia. Hello and good morning, Nu Skin family. How is everybody doing today? Whether it's morning or afternoon or evening where you are tuning in from. You guys, I am Ricky Salvage. I am your president of sales of North America, and I'm so excited to be talking about India with all of you today. Now, as a quick reminder, you're going to hear so much information, and guess what? We are actually streaming right now into our US business Facebook group. So if you're like, oh, I missed that, or I got questions, or I need to see that again, guess what? You can immediately jump back into that Facebook page later and watch it again. So we got our chat on. You guys can ask questions. We have an incredible lineup for you today. We have Mike Keller, who's going to be speaking first. He's our VP of New Market Development. We have Andrew P. We call him Andrew P. because his last name's really hard. We got Andrew P., who's our Director of New Market Development, and they're going to take you through the corporate side of things. And then we have an incredibly brilliant, amazing Team Elite leader out of the UK, Louise Spencer, who is going to wrap up the call and share what she's been doing to get ready for India. You are not going to want to miss it. So hang on to the very end so you can hear from Louise. But first up, you guys give a big round of applause, like I said, to Mike Keller, our VP of New Market Development. He has been with Nu Skin for 28 years. He's worked in the US, he's worked in the Korea market, he's worked in the Australian market, he's worked in the Japan market back in Korea, all over the globe. So we are in good hands. You guys, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Keller.
Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's great to be here with you today, and I'm excited to share a little bit with you about what we're planning for India. We've been working on this for a while, and I'm just trying to share my screen here with you. It looks like I'm having some technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. There we go. Alicia, if you could switch it over to my screen, we can go ahead and get started. But just jumping into India while my screen's pulling up. This is something that we've been working on now for several years. When I returned from Korea back in 2018, we started looking at India a little bit more seriously when Ryan Napierski announced on his earnings call that we were starting our due diligence. So from that time forward, we started making quite a few trips to India, conducting a lot of research. We did a lot of ethnographic research. We did some in-person research. We did quantitative, qualitative, across the board. We held consumer groups where we really tried to understand where the Indian consumer was at that point in time, what the emerging trends were, and where we felt like Nu Skin India would eventually play a role in the direct sales channel. So with that, we're going to share some key points today with you. It's not everything we have. These are just some of the I think some of the most relevant insights into why we're excited about India. Obviously, there's a lot more data that went into this thinking that we're going to talk about in terms of how it informed our product portfolio, as well as the business model and some of the promotions that we have ongoing right now leading up to the launch of India. But to go ahead and get started, let's talk about a little bit about the market. Many of you who are joining the call today, you already understand that India is the largest, most populous country in the world, coming in at 1.46 billion people. That's a lot of people when you think about this. But when you look at the breakdown of the population, it becomes even more, I think, interesting for us as a company and more for you as you are looking to build a business and expand into the India market. 65% of the population is under 35. The median age is 28. It's a very young country. It's filled with people who are ambitious and looking for opportunity, well-educated, getting out into the work field, and really looking at what's next for them. As we look at this, breakdown even further, we've got 910 million millennial and Gen Z. If you think about that, that's roughly three times the size of the United States, just in the millennial and Gen Z categories, in those demographic categories. 440 million millennials. So this gives us a great amount of confidence that what we're launching in India is going to be relevant to people who are looking for opportunity, looking to build a business around beauty and wellness, anti-aging. And we're going to share a little bit more data that give you insights into why we're so excited about this. As we look to the further breakdown, as we look at the middle class in India, it's an emerging middle class and middle class dominated market. We've got 300 to 350 million people that are currently in the middle class category in India, and that's expected to double within the next 20 years. So as we look at that, we also know that India, the category of middle class in India is going to be a little bit different than where we operate in other markets around the world today. If you look at just a broad swath of the earnings in the middle class in India as it's defined today, it's roughly equivalent to about $6,000 US dollars all the way up to 35,000 USD per annum. And so obviously, as you look at this, there's a breakdown of where people live, where people work. If you work in a larger metropolitan area, you're going to be earning a little bit more money than if you're working in tier 2, tier 3 cities. But as we look at that, that also informed the approach we're going to take to developing products in terms of the price sensitivity, the value-driven decisions that many Indian consumers make. The idea would be that we've got to get the right products into the market at the right price, and we'll talk a little bit about how we plan to do that. Further looking at this in terms of how people are connecting and building community in India, it's no different than what's happening in many of your markets today where you're building your Nu Skin business. We've got 1.6, the differentiating factor here is just the scale of what's happening in India. You've got over 1 billion people who are online every day with their mobile phones in India. And out of this, about 491, roughly 500 million people are really into social media. This represents the largest Facebook population in the world is in India. Instagram is also growing. YouTube is also a huge way that people connect and educate themselves, learn about new things that are happening in the market. So as you look at the way that you're building your business today and the way that you're utilizing your smartphone, your mobile phone to connect, to join community, to create communities, and to really communicate with one another, the same things are happening in India. So this also led to a really important informational point for us, and that is we know that we've got to get the digital play right in India. We have to have something that people are going to be able to manage and utilize their smartphone for to really recruit, train, and manage their business. Let's go to the next slide here. Let's look a little bit at direct sales. The direct sales market is growing. It's emerging in India as well. In 2023, the size of the market was $3.4 billion US. This is not the largest market that we operate in around the world by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a growing market. You've got 8.6 million distributors. The breakdown here is a little bit different than what we see in all of our other markets around the world today, where, for example, United States, Europe, in our North Asia countries, we've got a lot more women doing the business than men. So that ratio is kind of inverse when we look at India, where we have more males involved in direct selling than females. One thing that we do see that gives us great confidence for India is the fact that the female population is entering the workforce more and more every year. They're looking for ways to contribute to household incomes. They're looking for opportunities to create a future for themselves. And we've got more females now joining direct sales and more females looking for this than we ever have in terms of our research as how it would indicate happening in India. The growth rate's also quite strong, coming at 8.3% at a 3-year CAGR. How does this break down as well? Well, the two largest categories in direct sales, you've got wellness coming in at 74% of the revenue, so it dominates the space, followed by beauty at 11%. So beauty is a smaller subsection of the direct sales channel revenue, but it is also a growing channel. And wellness, we've seen really dominate over the last several years, really since the onset of COVID and coming out of COVID, the wellness revenues have continued to grow. Prior to COVID, you had a couple of companies in India that were leading the charge, and they were pretty balanced between wellness and beauty. Coming out of COVID, we see wellness really taking the lead, and they've really kind of created the awareness around nutritional supplementation of the importance of diet, the importance of exercise, the importance of the way that nutritional supplementation impacts your overall wellness. And so we actually look at this as a great opportunity for us here at Nu Skin, knowing that everything that we're going to be launching from the Pharmanex side is going to be anchored in Prism, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Let's get into products here. In terms of wellness trends, so these, again, just big macro trends that are happening in the market. 74% of Indians say supplements are essential. Awareness is growing. People are aware of what they're putting into their bodies. They're aware of key ingredients. They're aware of things that are going to impact their health. 63% of Indians are trying to lose weight. The Indian diet is a very carb-heavy diet. You've got a lot of lentils, a lot of naan, a lot of rice. It's a very carb-heavy diet, and so Indians are becoming more and more aware of the impact of that to their overall weight and their efforts to manage their weight. Also, 69% of Indians take supplements for some type of immune support. So again, really, we look at these trends and we think great opportunity for what we have to offer through Nu Skin. We see similar things happening in the beauty and personal care space. Right now, India ranks 4th in the world in terms of the beauty and personal care market, in terms of revenue that they're generating. As we dive deeper into this, we see that there are a lot more consumers at lower price points. And so although they are 4th in the world, they are consuming at lower price points, more mass type products. But then we also see the inverse happening in terms of people becoming more and more aware of premium products and the shift to consumption of premium products, knowing that people are aware of active ingredients, they're aware of the benefits that certain ingredients have on their skin, and they're starting to demand those more and more in the products that they consume. An interesting thing to note about India is its number one skincare claim is brightening. So brightening is a very important part of the consumer demand. We believe we've got some products that will address that and be able to position you to, as you build your business in India through your India eligible brand representatives, to take advantage of this as well. Let's talk a little bit about how we're going to position our portfolio in India. I mentioned a moment ago that because of the several factors that we identified early on in our research, we know that getting the right product to the market at the right price is going to be key to our long-term success in India. And so as we've looked at this and studied this, we have come up with our global product team, our approach to India in terms of how we're going to launch products and where and how they'll be positioned. At the top of this group right here, we believe that at the top of the socioeconomic class, there's a huge number of consumers who will readily and easily be able to afford our premium and luxury products. These are our ageLOC products. They're our highest science products, the products with the most active ingredients, the most clinical trials that support the claims that we make and the positioning that we take for each of these products. India is going to be no different. We believe that the ageLOC brand will be the premium, the height of the product offering that we have in India. But because we're going to be doing things a little bit differently, we also believe we're going to be able to fit it in at different price points for the most part. Following this, we've got Nu Skin and Pharmanex, all the products you know and love that aren't branded ageLOC, but still branded Nu Skin and Pharmanex. We're going to be positioning these as prestige in the market. With this, we believe we're going to have a strong play to really solidify this positioning and to help you attract consumers who are looking for specific skincare and wellness needs. Following this, we're also looking at what can we do, and we're asking ourselves a question, what can we do to further penetrate the market and to get into different demographics? One thing that we identified early on in our research was the propensity and the market practice of people going to a salon on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis. It's a very important part of their skincare regimen that they take. And this is something that we believe by creating this new brand called CeraNu, we're going to be able to take advantage of these emerging trends in the market and just the basic market practices. And so this brand right here will be positioned to be utilized in markets, in salons in the market by salon professionals. So it will be attractive to them as well as their salon clientele. At the bottom of this, we've got Nu Skin Within Reach. So for those of you who are building businesses in Latin America or Southeast Asia, you'll be familiar with the Sion brand. This is a brand that's been tried and tested over time and proven over time to be a very effective brand for those who are just trying to go out and have people have that first experience with Nu Skin who may not be able to afford either Nu Skin, Pharmanex, or ageLOC products. India will be no different in this area. We believe that this will be a strong offering at a relative price point for that demographic. Now, just a little bit about our product approach. We are going to be manufacturing all of our products that we'll be selling in India. What does this mean? It means we've identified some great third-party contract manufacturers who are available and ready and willing and fully vetted by us to become our business partners. And so as we start to build this these product lines out in India, you'll notice there are going to be subtle tweaks in the packaging, subtle tweaks in the sizes of the packaging. Will also be locally formulated to address Indian consumers' needs and primary interests. And we'll talk about that in just a second. In fact, we'll talk about that on this slide. Our Pharmanex play is really going to be focused initially on a very small and very succinct portfolio. We're going to be launching with a couple of products here, LifePak Core Merino Mega, TRMe, but you'll notice it's not the entire TRMe offering that we have, for example, in Southeast Asia and other parts around the world. LifePak Core will be different than the LifePak or LifePak Nano that you know that are currently available in your markets. This product is being designed specifically for the Indian consumer in mind. It addresses core vitamin and nutrient deficiencies that we've identified in the Indian consumer diet, and it will be able to be a great multivitamin daily consumption product that will help address those needs. It'll also be linked to the Prism IO in terms of the SCS side of this equation. We're developing a proprietary blend of antioxidants that will also have Ayurvedic ties into India. We're partnering with a well-established company in India to create this blend. It'll have ingredients such as curcumin, tulsi, or which is called, excuse me, holy basil, and different Ayurvedic ingredients that Indian consumers are well aware of. The Marine Omega that we're going to be launching is also going to be very similar to what you already know in your existing markets. If we look at the TRMe side of things, the protein meal replacement Slim SMI Edge, we believe this will go back and really tie heavily into the weight management and the weight management concerns that many Indian consumers have. As we look at Nu Skin, this is representative of our initial launch portfolio in Nu Skin. You'll notice that things are a little bit different. We've got a vitamin C serum here that will aid in brightening. We'll have some good benefits that address the demand for brightening in the market. We'll also have your basic cleanse tone treat to moisturize, excuse me. But with that, we'll also have the LumiSpa as a cleansing and treatment device targeted with the cleanser with the device here. And then that'll be followed by a glow toner and a light moisturizer. We also identified early on that 65% of Indians have some type of daily regimen where they apply sunscreen. So for us, an SPF product, building that into the initial portfolio is very important because that's a demand from many of the Indian consumers that you'll be contacting in your business. Let's talk a little bit about CeraNu. So this is a new brand. I talked about this a moment ago. The target audience will be salons and salon clientele. It's been set up to be a professional line to be sold in salons. We believe that through our model, you all, with the India eligible people that you bring into the business and the businesses that are built, subsequent businesses that are built in India, will be able to attract salons into your network. And so with this, we're offering a couple of different products that address brightening with our right here, our CeraNu brightening serum. That will be paired with the Galvanic Spa device, followed by the LumiSpa cleanser. Again, the great skin treatment cleansing device that you know today. And then we'll have the gel cream clay mask for detoxification, a pH balance toner, as well as a brightening pH balance toner here. This initial portfolio, just to give you an idea of our pricing, will be priced anywhere from 1,000 Indian rupee up to 3,000 Indian rupees per product. This is roughly in US dollars, about $12 to around $36 per product here. One note about this, as we were testing this in salons over the past several months, we've gone to salons and had extensive interviews with them to understand what they're looking for in terms of bringing new brands into their practices, integrating them into the services that they provide. And what we did find was, they're always looking for ways to increase their revenue streams, to meet the needs of their clientele, and to introduce new brands that they believe will be interesting to their clientele. This actually got really good reviews as we worked with salons to help them experience the product and experience the LumiSpa. India has some environmental factors, given that it's the most populous country in the world, and the population density in many of these large metropolitan areas is really high. So as a result, you've got some environmental factors in terms of air pollution and things that people have to deal with on a daily basis that impact their skin and their cleanliness there. And so just as an aside, one of the salons where we were one afternoon, a woman came into the salon where we were providing free facials, and she sat down to do this, and she informed us at the start of it that she was actually a salon owner herself, and that she was coming to this salon to get her treatments done on her day off, as her salon was closed on that Sunday afternoon. She sat down, and we explained to her what this treatment was going to be, walked her through the different steps, and she actually didn't want to have the LumiSpa experience. She said, "No, my skin's clean. I've already done it. I don't need to do this. Let's just go on with the other steps to the treatment." Well, we explained to her a little bit more what the LumiSpa was all about. She decided to do it. And at the end of that 2-minute session, she was shocked at the results that she saw immediately in her face in a mirror, as well as when she looked at the treatment head. She couldn't believe the amount of residue that that device removed, and she was sold. She said, "How do I get this? Can I buy this today? What do I need to do to get my hands on this?" So we believe that with this device, obviously it's very efficacious, it's very demonstrable, and it's simple and intuitive to use. We think this is going to go a long way in India in terms of attracting people who are looking for that deep cleansing treatment. The devices will be imported. Those will be the only two products in our portfolio that will be imported into India. Everything else will be manufactured locally. So that's all I have today in terms of the overview of why we're excited about the market and why we believe that India will be a really good play for us in the future and for you as you look to build India through your India eligible brand representatives and brand affiliates that you're bringing into the business today. We're looking at India as a long-term play. Everybody we've met with as we've gone back and forth over the past couple of years, they've been very welcoming. They said, "Welcome to India. It's a great time to build a business in India. It's a great time to get started." But they always tell us time and again, India's a marathon. If you look at it as a sprint, you're going to run into some challenges. It's a marathon. And so as we looked at how this would impact our launch strategy, we went back to the basics and we asked ourselves the questions: how can we set ourselves up for a long-term successful play in the market? And so we're committed to doing things the right way. The first time around, we're committed to, again, getting the right products in the market at the right price by doing it the right way. And so as we continue to build out the India portfolio and as we continue to build out the India business model, you have our commitment from a company side that everything we're looking at is geared to a long-term play, a long-term success in the market. Nothing that's going to go in overnight and be a hot flash in the pan. That doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do us any good as a company. So that's our mindset as we move forward. And I'd like to introduce my colleague, Andrew. He and I have been working on India together for the past couple of years. He's been with Nu Skin for 13 years. Originally from India, he started with Nu Skin in our Nu Skin Europe office. And he worked there for a couple of years before moving over here to be with us in Provo. He's been with us now for 10 years in Provo. He's worked in a number of different areas, business analytics, commissions, and most recently was the global head of CX. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Andrew, where he's going to walk you through some business insights, as well as talk about the promotions that we've launched in conjunction with the market launch in India. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to be here today to talk with you about India. India, I believe, is truly going to be our next billion-dollar market. Mike mentioned it's going to be a marathon, and I don't disagree. It is going to be a marathon, but the potential and the outcomes, if we can just stick in and make it work, are going to be amazing. So this project, as Mike mentioned, I've done a few different things at Nu Skin, but this project has a special place in my heart. Obviously, as Mike mentioned, I grew up, I lived in India, but I've been away from India for the last 10, 15 years. Just want to make sure that you guys can see my screen. Let's see. We might be having some issues here. Let me stop sharing and then share again. All right, you should be able to see my screen now. It might be a couple of seconds of delay. There we go. All right. So as I was saying, it's been a while since I've been in India, but as I've spent time away from India, it's really something that's been calling to me quite a bit. I'm not sure how many of you know this term brain drain. It's kind of this thing where a lot of people from a certain country, they will leave the country to go to other countries to immigrate for better opportunities. And as I left India to do my master's and then ended up working for Nu Skin since then, I've always had this kind of feeling where it's been like, well, it feels like even though I'm not I don't consider myself part of that brand, right? It's been something that's been at the back of my mind, right? So as we think about India and as we go into India, I'm really happy to be part of this team that's going to help us get our empowerment mission to India, and that's something that I'm so passionate about. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the business insights and a little bit about the programs and what it means for the India plan. So let's talk about India and who's eligible to build in India. Now, India is awesome, but it can also be maddeningly complex at times. And India's regulations around direct selling kind of make it so that there's preference, I'd say rightly so, to Indians and Indian origin folks to be doing direct selling in India. What does that mean? Well, at its core, if you are a Indian national, so someone who's living in India, or you are a non-resident Indian, so an NRI, someone who has an Indian passport but is living outside of India, or you are an OCI or PIO cardholder, overseas citizen of India or person of Indian origin cardholder, that's essentially someone who might have been an Indian citizen at one point in time, or your parents or grandparents might have been Indian citizens, essentially someone who has some tie to India. These four groups are really the groups that are going to have the easiest time to go in and build in India. And that's what I mentioned, where India is a little bit complex, but the regulations really allow for these folks to benefit and build in India. Now, you'll notice I've got this group down here, which is foreigners with valid Indian business visas. There is technically a way where, as a foreigner, if you're not Indian or of Indian origin, where you can go in, you need to set up your business entity, set up your tax ID, set up your Indian bank account, go through a whole lot of hoops to do it. And if you haven't dealt with Indian bureaucracy, I would say you're better off finding Indian origin folks or Indians to kind of build and bring into your team. That being said, we will obviously support those who want to go in and kind of take this route. Just be warned, it's going to be a little bit of a longer process for you. So most of you on this call are probably not Indian or of Indian origin. So you're probably sitting here thinking, well, why are you telling me about this, Andrew? Well, let's talk about that. If you look at our global diaspora of Indians, right? There's about 20 million Indians or Indian origin people outside of India. And the bulk of those are actually in the US and Canada. We've got 8.3 million people there, which means that this group that I'm talking to, you've got the best quantitative advantage of going and making India yours. We're going to talk with Louise a little bit later, and she's working with a much smaller group. So you guys should really be going out there and like getting the best possible ways that you can to find those India eligible people. So what's the goal for this group where you're not Indian or of Indian origin? You've got to create those first generation India eligible leaders. Now I know everyone in this group, you're awesome people. We want the best out of everyone, but we also want to talk about what's in it for you as an international leader, because like I mentioned, with India and its direct selling regulations, it's a little bit tricky for an international leader to get benefits out of India. So what we've done is we've created this global growth pool, and the concept of the global growth pool is essentially to reward you as an international leader. You'll be paid by your home market for going and finding that India eligible person living outside of India. And because you are supporting and mentoring that Indian person outside of India, you're going to benefit off of the sales that that person's going to build globally, India being a part of that global program for them. So essentially, the global growth pool, you can think of it as being approximate to the value of what you might get from a lead bonus in India, if such a thing existed. So how do you qualify for the global growth pool? Well, let's look at it through kind of some visuals here, right? So let's say you are a UK or a US brand rep today. You are an international brand rep, so you're not India eligible, right? So you're not an Indian national or a PIO or an NRI or OCI. But you know someone who is, and they're living in the UK today, or they're living in the US or any of Nu Skin's currently open markets. You need to go and find that person and sign them up personally. So as long as that person is your personally sponsored brand affiliate, that's essentially the starting point for you on building your way into the global growth pool. So once you go and find this person, Mike mentioned that we're going to be having a qualified entry launch soon, November, in fact, of this year. So as long as this person that you found who is India eligible becomes a brand rep or above by November in their home market, so in this example, that would be their UK account, come November, this person, this India eligible person, will be able to go into India and start their India account. Now, this is where it's a little different than how we build globally, right? Because if this was a UK account and they wanted to go and build somewhere in the US, we wouldn't have to create two separate accounts here. So that's what you're seeing here is this is the same person, but they are two separate accounts. They are not the same account like we have with our global comp plan. And the reasoning being with India, the tree needs to start and stop in India. In other words, the line of sponsorship needs to start and stop in India. So what we're doing is we're going to say, hey, this person here, they're the same person. They just have two different accounts and they will qualify and maintain separately. So this person, if they're a UK or a US account, they're growing that organization separately. And then within India, they can go and sponsor other Indians. They can build their entire India team. Now, what does that mean for you as the international person, right? Because your goal here is to qualify for the global growth pool. So this is step 2, right? You find that India person outside of India. When India opens, make sure that they're going and creating their account. And then after they've created their account and they're growing, this person then becomes a India leadership team that's a certain title or has a certain amount of India sales. We're in the process of finalizing this number. We should have it fairly soon. But for now, let's just assume this is an India leadership team. Now, what happens is when this Indian account has built and become a leadership team, that qualifies you as the international person to get global growth pool. In other words, this entire leadership team here for you that you've helped support and mentor personally by sponsoring this person outside of the US, that's going to act as an unlock to benefit you off of India sales. And that's going to happen through the global growth pool. Now, I want to be very mindful. The payment will be through your home market, not from India. And it's benefiting the support and mentoring that you are doing for this UK or India eligible person outside of India. But because of that support and mentorship, they've gone and built a successful global business. And you are going to get a benefit out of that, which is called the global growth pool, which will be approximate to the value of the lead bonus from India. So that's what the global growth pool is. That's how you can qualify. Now, there's actually more to this because we're going to be talking about what we're calling a founder's promotion. You may or may not remember we had something called a founder's incentive last year. We're changing that to this founder's promotion. We're simplifying it. And really the rationale here is we believe so much in India and its potential that we want to just add more fire to it. So this founder's promotion is a very simple concept. During this pre-launch period or this qualified entry period, essentially November of this year to our official launch to the middle of next year, you will get 2 times your global growth pool bonus, or if you're an Indian account, 2 times your lead. What does that mean? So let's look at this diagram here. This is very similar to the global growth diagram that I just showed you. And I've just replaced the UK account with the Singapore account, but very same construct here, right? So what the founder's promotion is going to do is every month of the qualified entry period, so essentially November to middle of next year, as long as you have your India eligible team, your India eligible leadership team, in other words, it means you're getting your global growth pool because you get your global growth pool bonus every month. As long as you're getting that and you yourself are a Ruby Plus, you're going to get 2 times that amount instead of just 1 times that amount through global growth pool. That is a massive incentive. You could almost effectively think of it as like a 2 times your back end bonus, right? And that's how much we believe in India. That's how much the size of the opportunity is going to be for us. And now this founder's promotion isn't actually just for our international leaders as well, because you can be an India founder even if you are an India eligible person yourself. So let's talk about this person who's not India eligible, but let's change the scenario, right? Let's say it's this Indian person here who has now gone in and started building their India team. In the qualified entry period, this person has actually started building their India team and they've become a Gold Plus member themselves. In other words, they've got a brand rep below them that's in India. What's going to happen is this person is going to get double lead bonus. In other words, 10% off of this G1. And if they had another G2, they'd be getting 10% off of that as well if they were a Lapis. So this is, again, a huge, massive promotion that we're putting out there because of the incentive, because of the potential that we believe in India. So that's kind of the program side of it that I wanted to talk about India that I think is more important for this group. But I do want to give a little bit of sneak peek onto what the India's sales performance plan is going to be itself. Mike mentioned in my previous role, I was heading our customer experience team. Part of that involved listening to a lot of your feedback, right? And a lot of the feedback consistently that we got when it came to talking about our compensation plan was it was too hard to explain, right? And that's a big part of what we've thought and put into the process of within India's regulations, how can we make the India compensation plan so simple that you could explain it on the back of a napkin? And that's why we're saying the India compensation plan is going to be simple. It's going to be flexible because India has different needs, and it's going to be localized to make sure, like the pricing of our products, the compensation plan is going to be localized to make sure it addresses the need of our target demographic. Now, we won't have time today to go into all the components of the India SPP. We can dive into that deeper in a future call, or if you'd like to know more about that, feel free to reach out. We can set up some calls to go into that in more detail. But I just want to take a quick minute to talk about what's going to be different in the India SPP. Because I guess the pro and con of India is, even though we've got the regulations that restrict who can build in India, the pro of that is India is self-contained, right? The volume is all within India. The sales are all within India, which means we don't need something like SV or CV, right? Everything can be based off of price. Again, with simplicity in mind, if you're selling a certain amount of products or you're building a team that's selling a certain amount of products, you're going to get commissions based on those sales. It's as simple as that. You don't need to worry about qualifying through or maintaining through SV and getting paid on CV. That's not a concept that we need to worry about because of India's closed nature. Now, with India being a little bit complex, do expect the brand affiliate sign up to be a little more cumbersome than our other markets. There's a few registrations that you need to address. There's a few licenses that you need to get. So it's going to be a little more cumbersome, but that's part of why we believe like it's going to actually build and create better brand affiliates for us. Is kind of just going through that process in itself is a process. So the people that make it through are going to be really interested and intent in doing the business. So they're going to be stronger leaders for you. And then finally, the biggest change is, again, in the theme of simplifying, we're going from 4 bonuses to 3. You might be aware today of your sharing, referring, bill, lead. We're simplifying all of that into just 3 bonuses. And they're really simple that you can just explain them on the back of a napkin. So with that sneak peek, I'll kind of wrap up the program side. But like I mentioned, we'll have more discussions on this as we finalize the SPP rules, and we can have more conversations on these in future calls. Now, I've talked to you about our programs strategy. What I want to talk about as well is our digital first approach. India being full of digital natives, tech savvy, we want to make sure that we're enabling the launch in the right way. And what that means is we want to make sure that we get our fundamentals right. And when I say we're getting our fundamentals right, I know we've had quite some hiccups over the last couple of years, even in North America, as we've transitioned to different technologies. So with India, our strategy is going to be making sure that we have the fundamentals right for that qualified entry. And that means just having a basic website that you can sign up, you can search for products, you can subscribe, you can shop, and you can share. Just doing those basic functionalities. Mike mentioned we'll have Prism, so we'll also have the Prism app in time, and then you need to be able to manage your business. So we'll have VNG. Those are really the 3 fundamental things that we're going to make sure we have ready in time for qualified entry. And then if we can, we'll have Vera and Stella as a fast follow. But if not, just know that we're making sure that we have the fundamentals right to enable you to be able to do your business effectively. Now, with that, I'm going to wrap up my section. But I do want to bring someone onto stage, someone who's actually been doing an amazing job just doing what I've been talking about, right? Finding those OCIs, building that team. Louise Spencer, who is our 2-year team lead, based out of based out of the UK, Irish. She's got some really great, interesting insights to share about what she's doing with you, because I don't know if you guys know the numbers. I'll give you a sneak peek. Louise is going to dominate the India market. She's just been doing an amazing job at it. So Louise, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for that lovely introduction. And thank you, Mike, as well. I certainly wouldn't be where I am with this India expansion without your guys' constant guidance and support and answering lots of questions. And for those of you who are on here, maybe just starting to get excited about India, one of the best pieces of advice I can give you to start is that this is very much like a learn and earn process. We're kind of learning as we go. There's still a lot of things that aren't fully clear, but it doesn't stop us from laying the groundwork now and still doing what we need to do to fully capitalize on this opportunity. So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Louise Spencer. As Andrew mentioned, I am Irish, but based out of the UK. I've been partnered with Nu Skin now for coming up on 9 years. My background is as a physiotherapist, an advanced practice physiotherapist, and a national manager for one of the largest private healthcare companies in the UK. And one of the reasons why I actually partnered with Nu Skin all those years ago was with the company that I was with at the time. Basically, they told me that if I wanted to start a family, that my job wouldn't be there for me when I wanted to come back after maternity leave, and I could take a 50% salary reduction and go in as a junior member of staff, as well as being a mom. And that was just not an ultimatum that I was prepared to settle for. And I absolutely believe that Nu Skin found me, and it is a decision that I made, from day one, that this was my forever home. And I really want you to understand, I have never done anything sales based. I had no background in skincare or wellness or anything like this. I never used social media, but I caught the vision from day one. I saw how amazing the company was. I understood that there were so many different types of success stories within this company. And it's kind of the same thing when it comes to India. I have never participated in an international expansion before. There's lots of people that are reaching out to me, asking me for tips and advice and, what are you doing? And I really want you to understand that this is all new to me. But what I did was I caught the vision from early on. I understood that this is an opportunity to completely transform my life, my family's life, leave a legacy for my children. And I feel like it's day one again in the business where I'm learning and earning as I go. I don't necessarily understand exactly what I'm doing, but I understand that if I just keep putting one foot in front of the other and I keep sharing the vision, the excitement with other people, that they're going to catch what the vision that I've got as well. So I've got lots of exciting information that I want to go through. I want to give as much value as possible. So I'm going to start off with, why India, why now? And I think, Mike and Andrew have done a phenomenal job painting a vision of, what exactly is going on in India right now. But it's a rapidly emerging economy, a digital savvy population, a growing appetite for premium wellness. And I feel like everything that we have on offer right now from the company, particularly with the launch of Prism, is feeding directly into what we have on offer with India as well. So I'm so delighted that the company has included this as part of the launch portfolio, because we don't need to build these two things separately. This is one of the key areas that I'm finding that my business partners are particularly passionate about and excited about, because I would say the three main categories of business partner that are coming into my organization right now are people that are either in the healthcare community, people who are in the tech community, or people who are entrepreneurs or business owners. So everything that we have within the company, from the science, the tech, the innovation, everything is just feeding so nicely into it. So the next thing is, obviously, you don't need Indian heritage to participate. And I think sometimes that slows people down, because they think, how do I participate in such a huge international expansion if I don't have any connections within the Indian community? And I really want to, again, highlight the fact that I do not know one single person who lives in India. Right? I have got no connections over there whatsoever. I grew up in a rural town in Ireland. Obviously, there's, much stronger ties with the UK, but in North America and in lots of our markets around the world, there are established communities within within the Indian communities in lots of different areas around the globe. So if you're not sure like how you can start building these relationships, You just need to be prepared to find that one Indian eligible person who can then kind of be that access point or that gateway into the market. And that's not as difficult as it might seem, but you need to be prepared to think, well, how am I going to go about doing this? So the first piece of advice that I will give you is that I feel like Indian people and Irish people are very similar in certain ways, in that we tend to, if we emigrate and we end up in different countries, we tend to try and gravitate towards one another, I would say. So if you look in and go into Facebook, if you, whatever local town you're from, whatever city you're from, anywhere around the world, I pretty much guarantee if you type into Facebook, Indians in Utah, Indians in Boston, Indians in Florida, Indians in wherever. It's the same as if you do it with Irish people. You will find Facebook communities where these people are part of. They're looking to meet other people, to network together and whatever else. Now, when I would go into these sorts of groups, I'm not looking to go in and start pitching that I've got a business opportunity. I'm looking for the people that are more influential in these groups. I'm looking to connect with them on social media or through LinkedIn, maybe on a different platform. And I'm looking to build meaningful connections and relationships rather than me just coming in and trying to pitch something. And I think that this is something, again, that we're doing really, really well over here in the UK, is we're building these meaningful friendships. And I feel like that helps with the trust and the credibility and whatever else. So the company keeps saying, build locally and think globally. And again, I really want to highlight the fact that this is probably one of the most important things in terms of building locally, because Indian people want to get face to face. They want to meet up. They want to go to events. They want to do all of these things in person. And it's easy to maybe look at a market that's growing faster than another market in this area and think, oh, it's just because they're from the UK. And that's not, in my opinion, the reason why we're having this growth and this success. It's because we're taking the time to take our business offline and get in front of people. And we have events running up and down the market. And I think that that is really one of the keys. So I suggest, look around you online, use Instagram, use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably one of the best networking and kind of recruitment platforms, I guess, and that we are using to connect with different people. You don't have to be social media savvy. You don't have to have a load of social proof on LinkedIn. You just need to be able to go with a bit of posture and present what it is that we have on offer. And I feel like, for me, the kind of the few major points that I like to position and present to people is let people know a little bit about, this is the company that I'm partnered with. We're the world's #1 in terms of, you might call it beauty tech or home use beauty devices. We're about to launch the world's first nutritional wellness monitor, which is also, going to legitimize the supplements industry. And I never like to assume if somebody has got Indian heritage or not, because sometimes I don't know. So the way that I like to kind of position it then is say something along the lines of, and we're also expanding into India in Q4 this year. So if you happen to have Indian heritage or have connections within the Indian community, this is the once in a lifetime opportunity, right? And just something simple like that. And what I find is that Indian people are so open, so warm, so receptive. There's no judgment. There's not a lot of hesitancy there. And even if the opportunity is not for them, I cannot tell you how many of them, just out of the goodness of their heart, act as amazing connectors for the brand and just introduce me to other people. So again, the reason I never send information, like loads and loads of information via text, I always say to people, I'd love to, block out, 45 minutes, an hour of your time to have a more meaningful conversation about what exactly it is on offer. See if you feel like it's something that will align with you. And if so, then, it would be fantastic. And I don't send over information without having those meaningful conversations. And even just saying those 2 words, I want to carve out some time so that we can get to know one another, have a meaningful conversation, see if this is something that's going to align with you. Those are the sorts of things that I think mean something to people within the Indian community. And I feel like, again, no more than a lot of us on here, we make the decision because we feel like it's right for us. We feel like it's right for our family. We feel like the mentor is the right person to work with us. The company is the right company. Help people make that decision and give them a really solid first exposure to the business. So just think about how you can go about these sorts of things. Other social media strategies, some of the things that I'm doing to maybe stand out a little bit more. First and foremost, I decided to put myself out there and track my journey a little bit more and just say to people, I've no idea how I'm going to do this, but I want to be the number one leader, global leader within Nu Skin to pioneer the expansion into India. And I'm just tracking my journey in terms of what I'm doing, the calls, the meetings, the yeses, the nos, the challenges, everything. I'm just documenting what I'm doing. And I always kind of think to myself, I think about an example like Jeff Bezos, right? We all know who Jeff Bezos is. He's built one of the most successful companies in the world. How many of you would have loved to have seen the day-to-day grind of what went on when he started in his garage to where he is today, rather than just seeing the success story? And what I find is because I'm just, figuring it out, but I'm forward projecting my vision in terms of where I'm going and what I'm creating and the people that I'm going to help, people are finding me. And I feel like this is just, another simple marketing strategy. So just think about maybe how you can kind of position yourself online. Myself and my business partner also booked to do a photo shoot. Again, just something different. We printed these kind of Nu Skin newspapers with, saying like India launching and stuff like that. And it was just a pattern interrupt on social media. It was something to be like, oh, what is this? I don't, I haven't come across this before and whatever. So we're just thinking about how we can do things that are a little bit different, and showing the community side of things. In terms of like market penetration impact, then one of the things that I want, that I probably keep hearing from people is I'm going to wait until India opens. That's what I hear from a lot of people who've got Indian heritage. I'll just wait. And I feel like the company has done something amazing for us here, whereby you now need to not only either have your OCI or your NRI, you also need to be a brand rep in order to participate in the preview, which goes live on November 1st. That is one of the best things that the company has done because it's driving people towards brand rep. But not only that, now if they've got the opportunity to double their commissions by becoming a Ruby, it's even better, right? So we now have these two major carrots that we can dangle in front of people to say to them, if you want that early adopter, if you want to be that first person to go in and pioneer the largest market that Nu Skin is ever going to go in and enter, we're never going to get an opportunity like this before. You've got to move now. And I feel like that has been absolutely incredible. And I always say to people, if let's say you've got an Indian eligible contact, they're on your front line, they might have 10 connections in India, right? But let's say 9 out of those 10 connections are not interested. One might try the business for a period of time and then may drop out. You've got no traction there whatsoever. But I say to them, imagine if you build a network of 50 Indian eligible people, and then they all have 10 leads each going into India. Now, all of a sudden, we've got a pool of 500 people. And then, who do they know and who do they know and whatever else. So really think about this. And one of the piece of advice that I give to my team, because a lot of them come to me and say, I don't know anyone who's Indian. Like, how do I build in the community? And I just say, even if you have 1,000 connections in your first or your immediate network, if they all have 1,000 connections each as well, that's 1 million people between your first and second network. I'm telling you for a fact, there will be Indian people within that community, within that network. So it's about going to people, everyone, don't prejudge anyone, and let people know what it is that you're doing. I'm working on a really exciting project right now. I'm pioneering the expansion of a multi-billion-dollar beauty and wellness company into the fastest emerging global market right now. I'm looking for people who've either got Indian heritage or have got connections within the Indian community. Is there anybody that comes to mind? Go and ask, who do you know? It's one of the most powerful questions we have in our business, right? So don't forget to do the same thing with India. And then understanding eligibility. So Mike and Andrew have already mentioned it, but this is going to be a sticking point for people if they don't move fast on this. The OCI registration process can be a little bit slow at best. It's taking sometimes 3 or 4 months to get the documentation through. So as soon as somebody signs up, even when they're an affiliate, I'm like, you've got to go and get your documentation registered. Don't wait. And this is, even in my team, this is a sticking point. So right now, if you look at the global figures in brand reps, I know in my organization, I've got 21 Indian eligible brand reps right now, but there's maybe 6 that have actually got their documentation. So it's skewing the numbers on the system for the company. So please just don't fall short here, because we're heading into July. We've got July, August, September, October, kind of 4 months. So we need people registering their information now if they want to then hit brand rep and participate in the expansion. So that's one of the things that I would just place a huge amount of urgency under. The next thing for me, which is probably one of the most important things, is building that trust and that excitement through repeat exposure. And I would say that of any of the people that I've ever worked with, different demographics, different people in different markets around the world, I would say the Indian community has taken more repeat exposures than anybody that I've ever worked with before. And I mean like consistent, decent, like ongoing repeat exposures. And sometimes it's taking months from the initial conversation. They might sign up, but then they might not do anything for another 2 to 3 months. So please, please do not take this personally or take it to heart, and don't lose faith. You just have to think to yourself, what's the next repeat exposure? What do I go back to them with? And this is why these amazing, these sorts of opportunity calls and whatever else are fantastic to plug people into, because it's letting them hear directly from our corporate partners and building that trust and excitement. So anything from, it might be a call with you, it might be then like a local event, it might be, and please, I encourage you, go and set up local events, right? Get people in front of some of the leaders or come together with other leaders to set something up. It might be product demonstrations, it might be them having their own product experience, it might be then a webinar, it might be whatever, just keep thinking. I might plug them into something that's more Prism focused. I might plug them into a science talk from the company. It's taking this level of repeat exposure and me constantly inviting to then sometimes getting them to just purchasing their products and then moving from there. But once they're in, they're in. So this is it's a bit of a slower process. And again, I'm going to stereotype a little bit here. So there's obviously going to be outliers to this situation. But what I find is that first generation Indians, so maybe people who have moved over to the United States and are maybe more used to different pricing models and stuff like that. Like sometimes they look at our products over here and they're like, oh my God, these are so premium. And there can be a hesitancy to invest. That's okay, that's normal, but it might take a little bit longer to kind of get them across the line. Whereas second generation, third generation who've grown up here, I find that they move a lot faster. And that's predominantly what I'm seeing in my organization. They tend to be predominantly healthcare workers. So I've got a lot of doctors, dentists, pharmacists, skin specialists, estheticians, functional medicine doctors. That's kind of the main kind of category of people that I'm working with right now. And they are very, very happy to invest. And they are very, very happy to tap into the communities of people that they have established locally on the ground. But the kind of second generation is just so perfect because they've got the super strong ties with everyone that they have back home in India, as well as their super tight-knit communities that they have here as well. So just to wrap up, I think the last couple of tips that I would give you, prepping for go live. We've got a lot more information in terms of comp plan, the product information pages, all of that, the product training, that kind of stuff. It's coming and it's going to help us, prepare really nicely for it. But it's all about systems. We got to have it. You got to have your duplication processes ready to go, because it's not going to be easy as international sponsors to have a presence on the ground. So this is about system. So get yourself prepared. Create leaders in advance of the launch, particularly people who are able to fly into the market and do the work on the ground. That's going to go a really long way. The other thing for me is that one of the biggest things that the company, it's just been like golden from my perspective, is the company's partnership with Infosys. that Infosys is almost a household name over in India. If they don't know Nu Skin, they certainly know and trust and respect Infosys as an Indian-based company. And the fact that we have that partnership with them immediately gives us that added layer of trust and credibility. So for people that are on the ground over there that maybe haven't heard of us, that's something that you need to learn and understand. So that is pretty much it, guys. I think the biggest thing right now is don't overthink it. Think locally and then grow globally. And all I would just say is just keep showing up, asking people who they know, keep networking, figure it out along the way. We'll keep doing more calls like this, I'm sure, to kind of give you guys support from the company. But always, if I can help in any way, feel free to reach out to me. But I just want to say a massive thank you to the US corporate team for inviting me on. It's always a pleasure to be on here and sharing something that I'm passionate about. And thank you again for all of the help and support that you're giving me and my team. So thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to wrap up the call here. Ricky had to step out, but guys, what an amazing, amazing call we had. First of all, I want to give a big thank you to Andrew and Mike for leading the amazing work out there. And of course, thank you, Luis, again for giving us your tips and tricks, your experiences. So valuable. I can totally see your enthusiasm and the excitement, and you are truly, truly going to be an amazing, amazing founder in India. Guys, imagine being a founder in India with Nu Skin. And also, not only that, but finding the first founders going into India, eligible founders going into India. That would be truly, truly amazing to help those India eligible people. So there are some action items, guys, to end up the call. Please, 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 like Luis said, find those India eligible affiliates. Get them to brand rep. Here in the US and North America market, Canada, our brand rep qualification is just 2,000 GSV with 500 DCSV. Get them to brand rep, and once India is open in November for brand reps, they can definitely start going in and doing the work there. Second is make sure you're a Ruby Plus in your market, in the US, Canada market, to take part of the Founders Program so you can get double that commissions from India. So with that being said, guys, I know there was 500 people on this call, close to 500 people on this call. We are streaming this on Facebook. So if you have anybody that missed the call today, definitely go in and share this with them. We are going to be having this call every month. So not only use this as a learning tool and get yourself familiarized with India, but invite those India eligible people that you find onto these calls. It will be worth their while on there. So with that being said, guys, until next time, have India on your minds and have a great day.